Three, two, one. And hello,
The
everybody.
broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, as the nice
There
lady
you
just
go.
said, the broadcast is now starting. How you doing, Fred?
Yeah. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, and not to bring it up, but since we're Facebook Live, boy, you've been taking a beating.
Well, sometimes, you just got to get in the ring and you got to fight and just say your piece. And if you do something wrong, you say you're sorry. If you think something's right, you say that's right. And there you go.
Well, I appreciate that after our discussion, you kind of went, yeah, okay, I get it. So
Here's the point.
we're not going to talk about that now, but I know there's some Facebook people on who know what we're talking about, and you're not going to be around Wednesday, so we'll address it another time.
Yeah,
Right?
but sooner the better.
Yeah. But right now, let's not waste this hour on that kind of stuff. Let's spend this hour talking about voice acting for video games. And we're doing this in front of a 4-week webinar I have coming up in January. I believe we begin on January
the 22nd, I believe.
Yes, that's your cue.
Yeah.
January the 22nd. And oh, hey, Megan Davies, how you doing? Hi, Dave. That was Ryan. Erica. Hey, what's going on? Coming up on the 22nd, it'll be 4 weeks, 6 o'clock until 8:30. We may go a little bit long. We're only going to have 8 participating students, but we can have many flies on the wall who get to see and hear it all. And today, last Monday, and on the 9th of January, we're going to do another free webinar. Well, you get a kind of an idea of what we do. We're going to have some people read a little bit later on. As a matter of fact, if you would like to read a little bit later on, I'm going to fit in 2 guys and 2 women. Why don't you go to questions and let us know that you'd like to do that. Also, let us know, what your age range is. That way I'll know in advance and I can pick a piece of copy that maybe fits a little closer to exactly who you are. So, that said,
Let me just tell you, that said, we already got 2 males taken, so we're done.
oh, those guys, they jump on it so fast. Come on, ladies, jump in there.
Tim and Neil are taken, and that's it. So
Okay.
that's what we got.
Okay. Voice acting for video games. I've been teaching for a long time, but at the point that I decided to take it very, very seriously, I decided to go for a niche that a lot of people weren't doing. I had taught promos and commercials and narration. But at the time, no one was teaching voice acting for video games. And it's a little different animal than our other genres of voiceover. The acting style is closer to movies and or stage. We came out of animation in terms of who were the first people hired to do video games. I think they thought animation right away. But animation leans more towards funny. Video games lean more towards drama. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some funny video games and there aren't some serious cartoons. I look at my career in cartoons. I've been in quite a few, and most of the time it's been adventure games, which kind of also explained to me why those are the kinds of cartoons I get to do because they're much closer to what video games are. Well, why would we want to be a voice in a video game? One, it's a whole lot of fun. I really love it. But 2, it's a burgeoning market in the voiceover community. Everyone talks about audiobooks, and if you love it, great, go for it. I really love voice acting for video games. You get to play a variety of characters. You're human. You're uh, some space creature. You're a warrior. You're a doctor. You're a lawyer. You're a spirit. You get to be anything that a writer and a video game developer can imagine. And it is the fastest growing uh, area in entertainment. Um, there's never been a movie that made $1 billion in a day. There have been several games that have. Of course, I don't know. On Friday, when Star Wars comes out, it might make 1 billion. But up until this point, never been a movie that made $1 billion in a day. And colleges have game developer programs now, and lots of colleges, and some of our best colleges. MIT, Carnegie Mellon, UCLA, USC. I got a chance to speak a couple of weeks ago at SCAD, the Savannah School of Art and Design, that has one of the finest video game developer programs. Well, this isn't just happening in this country. We're talking about video game development programs happening around the world. It is truly an international business. I have done work where I'm in my studio here, and the game was produced in Norway or in the Scandinavian countries, and I'm being directed from somebody in South Africa. So you just don't know. You could be working with anybody, anywhere. And it is also the fastest growing area of entertainment. And all this adds up to needing more actors. Now, one of the things that is happening there, they're trying to get celebrities in. And the truth of the matter is, not all celebrities are suited for video gaming. I was having a conversation last night with a buddy of mine, very Phil, a very good actor. You see him a lot on screen, but you also hear him on cartoons and video games. And Phil Morris is his name, and we were talking about acting. And he's, like I say, a fine, fine actor, and you get a couple of actors together and start talking about technique. Well, the thing that you have to, the unique issues that come to mind with video games are you have a script on the page. You may have the dialogue that of the person that you're talking to or not. You may have stage directions or not. Um, but it's words on a page. You have not memorized that script. You're not talking to somebody who's in the room with you. You're not wearing a costume. There is no blocking. So, how do you take those words off the page? How do you make these words come across as a real character? I was going to say real human, but sometimes you're not. Um, one of the things I see in my teaching is people getting stuck in the words. Their eyes are here, and the rest of them ends up here in these words. And we got to take the words off the page. And what I do is teach you how to take those words off the page. You got to be aware, what is your character thinking? What is your character feeling? What is your character doing? Who is your character talking to, and what is that relationship? All of that makes a difference. Now, if you're in a play, if you're in a movie, you've got a complete script and you have read the whole thing. And the bigger your character, the more likely you are to have a real arc, and to know what that arc is. You know where your character begins, you know where your character ends. That's not always the case in video games. Sometimes in video games, all you have are, especially to audition, you just have that scene or a few scenes or a few lines from the scene. You may have a great description, then 5 or 6 lines or 3 or 4 paragraphs, and that's it. And the first time you actually see the performance script is when you're performing it. Can be kind of scary, but it's a lot of fun too. So your best chance to win that part is in that script. So when you're auditioning, that really is our work. Once you're on the job, it's fun. We still have to be good at what we do, but we all enjoy acting. That's why we're here, right? Absolutely. So one of the things I teach you how to do is how to create that character, how to take that little bit that they give you and take those words off the page. Make that character viable. Bring life to those words. Now that I've said all that, let's talk about not words. And that, of course, our efforts, the punches, the getting punched, the jumps, the swings, the cries out in pain, the dying, the running, the breathing. All these things are very necessary in video games, and often people neglect to teach you how to do them. We're going to go over these just a little bit. Um, if you're, and they can be very subtle. At the end of a session, generally, although now sometimes they're being very specific, we only need a few efforts. But it used to be at the end of your session, you had a half hour or so where you were going to do all the efforts. You were going to have a certain number of being hit, certain number of hitting, running, jumping, dying, screaming, this, that, and the other. And it's one of the reasons that we were on strike, because this can be very, very tough on your voice. Fortunately, the industry is old enough now that most of our directors are really looking out for your voice, and they try to minimize the amount of shouting and screaming that you do. Just gonna scroll up there, see who else is here. Hey, Stephen Clark. JB, what's going on, man? um, so to do efforts, now, when first time I had to do efforts, I just had to do them. But in teaching them, I understand that a lot of people don't quite get it. So let's get it now. Going to give you one tip. If you want to make your efforts sound a little bit different, you can use the alphabet in a number of ways. You could use just vowels, A, E, I, O, U. So say you're getting hit, A, E, I, O, U. Now, don't do them in order like that because it's crazy. Um, you could mix vowels. So you could go, you could gay O, or EI. And you notice I'm not doing them so clearly that you're understanding exactly what those letters are, but it gives you a little different feel for what that feeling of pain is. You can also use consonants. Ba, boo, da. The vowels work much easier, and you can do combinations of those. Now let's talk about what you might be doing. Typically, especially if you're going to do what I used to call the character book, which is all of the efforts. If you're going to hit, so it might be those might be light hitting, and bigger, ha, ha, ah, ah, and really big, ah, 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 ah. I didn't mean to hit you there. And if you're being hit, of course, that sounds more like a little sound, a little air's coming out of you. And it could be, we can even make that smaller. Things can be very subtle, like uh, those could be efforts. And of course, we can make it bigger. And we can make it real big. Now, you notice I'm allowing my body to move. And this is something you're going to hear me say a lot. Your body informs your voice. You can't do this just sitting still. Doesn't really work. And then we can move on to running. Now, when you're running, ordinarily you'd be running. But in video games, to really get the feel of that, we got to double time our run. So it would be that would be a pretty good jog. If we were going to be running really hard. And you notice you can, oh, excuse me, I need some water. Remember, tough on the throat. And we can add emotion to our running. Sometimes you're running scared. Or you're running angry. You're the person chasing the scared guy. And notice what the face does, because your body informs your voice. And we move into kicking, which in many ways sounds just like hitting. But when you have it in your mind and you kind of move your foot, it works. By the way, let's back up to running for just a second. When you're in the studio and you're doing the running efforts, you pantomime your body, but you don't let your feet hit the floor. Why? Because the microphone will pick it up. So the things you do, you always have to remember to stay on mic. Unless, of course, you've got one of those theater mics, which some game developers like to use now, game producers like to use now, where that theater mic is sitting right here, as opposed to a stationary mic that you're staying in front of. And in that way, you can move around all you want. You can bounce over here and bounce over there, and it doesn't matter. There's laughing and crying. And I'm going to say, I don't think there's anything terribly wrong. Say you're doing an evil laugh with making it the typical evil laugh. But I'm going to make a suggestion to you that know how you actually laugh. And do your laugh and add in your mind and heart evil. And it'll become more you. It won't be, yeah, I'm an evil laughing guy. Bring more of your, and you can make it more interesting. Sometimes we're laughing not because anything's funny. Sometimes we're laughing because it's release. Sometimes you're laughing because you did see that funny thing, and maybe you don't want them to hear you laugh, so you got to be able to make your laugh small. And you notice I allowed you to see or hear that I saw something. This is how specific we want to be with our efforts, with our laughter, with our tears. Sometimes you're crying because it's very sad. Sometimes your character might be crying because he's happy or she's happy. Oh, it's kind of tough on me. I'm not a crier. But, think about the number of times you've been at a wedding and somebody was crying, or you've just discovered love and it's so wonderful you're crying. Doesn't always have to be sad, and crying can be very small. Or it could be really big. And I'm not going to do it right now because my throat is a little hacked up. But you can imagine. These are the kinds of things that we do with efforts. And I don't want you in situations to sell them short, especially the laughing and the crying. Even the breathing, because we can bring out whatever emotion it is we're supposed to have breathing. You can breathe scared. You can breathe angry. You can breathe in a way that says, I don't want you to hear me breathing. Or we want to bring emotion. We want to bring story to those things that we do. Take the workshop. We'll spend a lot more time with that, and everybody gets a chance to make a fool of themselves doing some efforts. All right. What's that?
We have our four, two male, two female. Who would you like first?
Oh, let's start with the ladies this time. We went with the guys last time. And who have we got? Who's up first?
We have Yenny. Yenny, get ready. Yenny, here we go. And you are unmuted. Go ahead, Yenny.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Yenny. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this webinar.
Oh,
I really appreciate it.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Listen, Yenny, I know this is LA and you're not supposed to ask this question, but how old are you?
I am 24.
Okay. Because what I want to do is not pick a grandma script for you. And okay, 24. I like this script. Can you see that person there on the screen?
I definitely can.
Okay, excellent. This is a character, Leah. She's from a game that's about hunting these very dangerous large wolves, and there's lots of other scary and dangerous creatures around. Now she is the description. She is the cool science chick. She's part of a team that hunts dangerous animals, and she keeps them alive while they do it. So she's the medic. She's smart, outspoken, tomboy. American accent or light Spanish is required. We're not going to worry about making her a Latina. We're going to worry about making her that 20-something smart, outspoken tomboy. That if we can get that, I'm a happy guy. And so you got the picture there, and a picture's worth 1,000 words. It gives you a really good idea of who they are. And they gave a moderate description of who she is. And sometimes when you get a description like this, and this is all it is, it's also telling you a little bit about the game, how deep you have to go into who this character is. Some games much more serious. You got to go deeper, and there would be a lot more about her background and whatever is tormenting her through life. But this game isn't quite that serious. I'm going to go down, and this is the speech I want you to look at. And can you see that?
Yeah, I'm trying to zoom in a bit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pull it up there big so you can see it better. And now if you probably can't see me on the webinar, but you can see me on FaceTime. Hi, guys. I'm just going to read through this. Now, you notice it's a scene for Leah speculates on the monsters. She speaks quickly and enthusiastically, sometimes stumbling over her words to get them out. And I'm going to read this for you so you hear it. The creatures are really interesting. I mean, they have DNA, like their version of it, but no chromosomes. That means no inheritance. How does that work? Lazarus and I looked at some corpses. There's internal organs, but no genitalia. No reproductive bits. No baby monsters. Oh. And I did a nucleotide migration analysis, and you will not believe what Okay, you don't get it. Listen. They rewrite their DNA as they grow. They are literally evolving with each stage up. The creature that comes out of the cocoon is technically a different species from the one that went in the cocoon. Isn't that wild? Can't wait to get one of these things into a real lab. Okay, I'm purposely not giving you a read at all. But take a couple more looks at it, and those of you who are on the webinar, I want you to read through it too. Now, here are the kinds of things that I want you to think about when you're going through a piece of copy like that. Where is she? What's she thinking? Who's she talking to? What's that relationship? What's she doing? Or to put it as usual, what's she thinking? What she's feeling? What is she doing? Who's she talking to? And what's that relationship? And I'm going to suggest that some of the time in this speech, she's talking to herself. I'm also going to suggest, even though it says she speaks quickly and enthusiastically, it doesn't have to be quick all the way through. It doesn't have to be loud. There are a lot of traps in scripts. We think enthusiastic, we think loud and fast. Not necessarily so. Had a chance to get a good look?
Yeah, I got a good look at it.
Okay, let's give it a go and see what you come up with.
All right, thanks. The creatures are really interesting. I mean, they have DNA, like their versions of it, but no chromosomes. That means no inheritance. How does that work? Lazarus and I looked at some corpses. There's internal organs, but no genitalia. no reproductive bits, no baby monsters. Oh, and I did a nucleotide migration analysis, and you will not believe what I... Okay, you don't get it. Listen, they rewrite their data, their DNA as they grow. They are literally evolving with each stage up. The creature that comes out of the cocoon is technically a different species from the one that went in the cocoon. Isn't that wild? I can't wait to get one of these things into a real lab.
Okay, I get a sense that you kind of got a feel of who this character is, but even though I said you don't have to go too fast, you got to go faster. And there's some places in here I'm going to suggest that she really is talking to herself. Have you ever had one of those conversations? You're talking with somebody, you're explaining something, and something comes to your mind that really is a question for yourself, and you allow that to happen? Like, how does that work? The creatures are really interesting. I mean, they have DNA, like their version of it, but no chromosomes. That means inheritance. How does that work? Oh, Lazarus, you're kind of losing yourself in what you're telling, and even as you're saying it, the words are kind of coming to you, and what you're saying is shocking you a little bit. And you're that nerdy girl. You're that nerdy girl science chick into this stuff. Man, this is so cool. But the guy you're talking to or the person you're talking to, they don't quite understand.
Okay.
So one more time, let's pick up the pace a little bit.
Okay. The creatures are really interesting.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to stop you for 1 sec. Another trap I want you to watch out for, where they capitalize everything.
Yeah.
They rewrite the one that went in. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
The writer is trying to give you an idea of how he or she sees it and hears it. But I want you to make it your own. I want you to make it your own. One more time. I won't interrupt you this time.
Okay. The creatures are really interesting. I mean, they have DNA, like their version of it, but no chromosomes. That means no inheritance. How does that work? Lazarus and I looked at some corpses. There's internal organs, but no genitalia. No reproductive bits. No baby monsters. And I did a nucleotide migration analysis, and you will not believe what I... Okay, you don't get it. Listen. They rewrite their DNA as they grow. They are literally evolving with each stage up. The creatures come out of the cocoon is technically a different species from the one that went in the cocoon. Isn't that wild? I can't wait to get one of those things into a real lab.
Okay, we're going to do it one more time. I'm going to get a couple things. One, I want you to pick up the pace a little bit more. I want you to make these words your own. Now, generally, when you're working, you don't have a chance to really see the script. I guarantee this would be 3 or 4 takes on the job. But to win the audition, you have to do it as a perfect performance. They don't have enough imagination to go, she made a couple mistakes here, left out a word, but it's okay. I want you to take these words off the page. Places like really interesting, where it has the dots there. Don't allow them to mess up your rhythm. What you did was, the creatures are really interesting. And I didn't believe that. Oh, the creatures are really interesting. I mean, they have DNA, like their version of it, but no chromosomes. That means no inheritance. How does that work? Lazarus and I looked at, she's talking to herself. She's, sometimes the pace is going to change as the thoughts come to her, because this is what we do as human beings. We're talking to somebody, and I got a really good idea. Like that second paragraph, and I did a note. Something just popped into her mind. And it has taken all her focus. She's still trying to explain what's going on, but this has taken her focus. And and I got to tell you this. And then she realizes he doesn't get it. And once again, even though they've capitalized rewrite, make that yours. A lot of times when you see the dot dot dots and the words in caps, uh, we try to hit them too hard, and maybe there's another way that we would emphasize what's being said without doing it exactly as the writer thinks it should be done. They're trying, the writers are trying really hard. It's the best approximation of human speech that we have. But punctuation is suggested, and make this yours. You are the actor. One more time.
Okay, got it.
The
The creatures are really interesting. I mean, they have DNA like the version of it, but no chromosomes. That means no inheritance. How does that work? Lazarus and I looked at some corpses, their internal organs, but no genitalia, no reproductive bits, no baby monsters. And I did a nucleotide migration analysis that you will not believe what I... Okay, you don't get it. Listen, they rewrite their DNA as they grow. They are literally evolving with each stage up. The creatures that come out of the cocoon is technically a different species from the one that went in the cocoon. Isn't that wild? Can't wait to get one of these things into a real lab.
Best one yet. Best one yet. And so Yanni, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pop that off the screen for a minute. And I want to get some comments from some of the people listening. And if I roll up here and see something good on, wow, that was a bunch of them. From the webinar people, if you've got a comment, what did you hear that you liked? What did you hear that you think needed improvement? It wasn't a perfect read, but it was a much better read than the first read we got. And by the way, Yanni, your voice, I mean, you have a voice that'll book. You have a voice that I can so hear in video games. And while people are getting that up, oh, why don't we go girl, boy, girl, boy?
Okay.
Who do we have as a guy?
A couple of good comments. Good job. Jarius says certainly understands the character. I would agree with that. Okay, so let's go to Tim next. Tim, one second, Tim. We're going to find you. I'm going to unmute you here. So Tim, you are now unmuted. Go ahead, Tim.
I am unmuted. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Very good, Dave. Yourself?
Real good. And Tim, how old are you?
Yes, sir. 55.
55? Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Let's take
This is not a over 30 though.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. I have a character here. This is the Colonel.
Okay.
And the Colonel, let's see. I'll read you a little bit about it. Caucasian American Brooklyn accent. Now, if you got that, great. I'm much more interested in you bringing this character to life. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to have the Brooklyn accent.
Okay.
But tone, a working class philosopher like someone out of John Steinbeck. Earthy, plain spoken, not erudite, but insightful and experienced. Physically imposing and powerful, yet nonviolent. The Colonel attempts to project a sense of ease and calm, but struggles with a deep pain at the root of his being that he is desperate to escape. This is a lead role. This would be about 1,500 lines. He is a self-aware computer program that looks like a human. And that's a picture of him. And despite the fact that he is a computer, basically, play him as human.
Okay.
Do not try to put any computer voice on him. This, for all intents and purposes, he knows what he is, but he comes across as human. And we're going to do this first speech here. It says, please provide 2 reads for each of these lines below. In each line, the Colonel is addressing the player. Now, I'm going to read through this one time. so you can hear the words. But I want you to put yourself in a place. What is this character thinking? What is this character feeling? What is this character doing? And who's he talking to? We know it's the player, but the player is going to be of a certain age and a certain mindset. So I hear your profanities, your calls to your God, that you were somehow created for a purpose. It's arrogance. You fuck, you pray, you dwell, and you think. Think. For what? I'm not judging you. I carried that arrogance once. Thought I was more than that map inscribed on my circuit board. Solder, wire, spark. I can show you that strength if you're willing to tear back that curtain you think is there. You think you see. And see. Really see what's at the heart of it all. You'll figure it out. There's nowhere else to go. I heard that. That was like, what do I do with this?
No, it was just a cough.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Just a cough. That's all it was.
All right. Well,
Okay,
give
let's
it a
fun.
read through. And once again, while he's reading through that, for those, I'm going to pop over here. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Now you can see me in the webinar. For those of you who are listening, you always want to put yourself, you want to know where you are. You want to give every scene a little pre-life. What happened just before your character is saying what it's saying that made your character say or do what it's doing? So pre-life and make the words your own. When I was talking with my buddy Phil Morris last night before we went to see Stevie Wonder and his concert at the Staples Center, one of the things we both agree on, he does a lot more on-camera acting. I do next to none. He does a lot. And we were talking about preparation. And the thing that we agree about is that you have to let the character speak through you. Give yourself up to the character. We have a tendency to try to make the words dance for us, do something that we're controlling them to do. It will become much easier for you. The character will speak with more reality and truth if you allow the character to speak through you, not you trying to speak as the character.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
That's a lot. Oh, well, we're going to try. Let's do it.
All right.
Sounds great.
Let's see what you got.
Okay. All right. I hear your profanities. Your calls to your God. You were somehow created for a purpose. It's arrogance. You fuck, you pray, you dwell, and you think. Think for what? I'm not judging you. I carried the arrogance once. Thought I was more than that map inscribed on my circuit board. Solder, wire, spark. I can show you that strength if you're willing to tear back that curtain you think is there. You think you see. And see, really see what's at the heart of it all. You'll figure it out. There's nowhere else to go.
Okay, nice voice. But I got a sense you were being trapped by the words, and I call it that for a reason. We get so caught in reading them that we don't allow that character to do his thing. What do you think he's saying here?
He's telling the player, I guess, is what we're talking about. That he's just a human being,
Mm-hmm.
and I really don't care what you think. I'm just a machine. So why don't you just be the person that you are?
Okay. And it's really in 3 parts. Can you tell me where they are? Where part 1 is, part 2 is, and part 3?
Part one, I hear your profanities, and then thought I was. And then, if you're willing to tear back the curtain.
Well, I would say, and it's really not fair because I've worked with the script before. For what? In part
okay.
one, I'm not judging you. I thought I was more than blah, 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 to spark. And then I can show you that strength.
Okay.
And the final little section, you'll figure it out. There's nowhere else to go. That's his exit line. Why does he exit then? What's going on through his head? What's he thinking that makes him say that at that particular time? I don't need you to necessarily answer me now. The other thing, and this is a technical thing with us, especially when we're reading.
Mm-hmm.
You read the phrases, not the words. Read the phrases, not the words. If you're reading the words, it's, I hear your profanities, your calls to your God. If you're reading the phrases, I hear your profanities, your calls to your God. Which sounds more normal, more real?
Number two.
Okay.
Yes.
This will be, and I don't care what genre we're in, this will be big in your career, reading the phrases as opposed to the words. So one more time, here we go.
Okay. I hear your profanities, your calls to your God, that you were somehow created for a purpose.
I'm gonna stop you for 1 second. I know I said make it your own, but I want you to, honor the dots there. So that calls before God. And there's a reason that there's a pause there. And that you have to create for yourself.
Okay. I hear your profanities, your calls to your God, that you were somehow created for a purpose. It's arrogance. You fuck, you pray, you dwell, and you think. For what? I'm not judging you. I carried the arrogance once. Thought I was more than that map inscribed on my circuit board. Solder, wire, spark. I can show you that strength if you are willing to tear back that curtain. Think is there. You think you see, and see really what's at the heart of it all. You'll figure it out. There's nowhere else to go.
Okay. A little bit better. We're getting there. We're still a little lost on the words and not letting the characters speak enough. And kind of hard to do just from scratch. But let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Do you mind if I do a read?
No, please read it.
Okay. I talked about a pre-life. Why would this character be saying what he's saying? He's been listening to some bullshit from the player, and he's got to jump in and...
Wait a minute. Okay.
I'm going to give you a read, and part of the reason I'm doing this is not, I don't want you to do it like me. I want to free you up from these words, to get your own rhythms going.
Okay.
I hear your profanities, calls to you, God, that you were somehow created for a purpose. It's arrogance. You fuck, you pray, you dwell, and you think. Think, for what? I'm not judging you. I carried that arrogance once. Thought I was more than that map inscribed on my circuit. Sword, wire, spark. I can show you that strength, if you're willing to tear back that curtain that you think is there. You think you see, and see. Really see what's at the heart of it. You'll figure it out. There's nowhere else to go. Now, did you get the beats in there? Did you get the sense of this guy? All the different judgments and different, we have to layer our emotions and attitudes. People have an overall attitude, and then we layer other things in there during our conversations. Give it to me one more time.
Okay. I hear your profanities, your calls to your God, that you were somehow created for a purpose. It's arrogance. You fuck, you pray, you dwell, and you think. Think. For what? I'm not judging you. I carried that arrogance once. Thought it was more than just map inscribed in my circuit board. Solder, wire, spark. I can show you that strength. If you're willing to tear back that curtain, you think that is there. You think you see, and see, really see what's at the heart of it all. No, you'll figure it out. There's nowhere else to go.
Okay, I like that read the best, and we can go further. We're not, but because
I
there's
know.
a limited amount of time. But I like that read the best. But the trick is to give yourself over to the character you're playing.
Okay.
Let that character speak through you. And when you do, because we all go through the thing where we kind of map it out. Okay, it's got this, I get this. We have to be familiar with the words. We have to know what's going on. We have to pick our spots that are some emotional changes. But once you start and you let the character talk through you, don't be surprised if you end up going in a completely different direction than you thought you were going to go in, and let the character do it. Let the character go. I guarantee you will have some wonderful surprises.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
There you go. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So, all right. And let's, who we got now? We've,
Nikki is next.
we have another,
Female.
Yeah, yes, okay.
Okay. Here's Nikki. Nikki, you're unmuted. Come on in.
I know several Nikki. Oh, not one of the ones.
Hi.
Hey, Nikki, how are you? How do you pronounce your last name?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. Is it Nikki Studel?
Stoida.
Good German girl. Yeah. Stoida. And I once again, I know this is LA and I should never ask, but how old are you?
I'm 26.
26. Okay, you're still in the, let's see. You know what?
Actually, I do have a business question for you.
Okay, go for it.
When you're looking for these auditions, you usually use an agent, or do you find them on your own? Do you have a separate agent?
Well, I
get
get 95% of the my auditions through my agent. If you are agentless, if you are not in the union, you have to be your own agent. You have to start knocking on doors, getting in touch with gaming companies, get your demo together and your website, a place to send people to so they can hear your demo, so that you can generate some work. But especially in video games, I would always be working to get in the union and get a good agent so that you can start working on the AAA games and the AA games.
Right. I do have an agent for regular acting work, but she doesn't specialize much in voiceover work.
Okay. Well, if you have a theatrical agent, and let's call them theatrical, not one of my pet peeves is, well, voiceover, it's kind of like acting. No, it's acting you. Starting out, if you have a theatrical agent, it's probably easier to get a voiceover agent. So start knocking on the doors, and as a matter of fact, ask your theatrical agent who they might recommend as a voiceover.
Okay.
All right.
Good idea. Thank you.
All right. I've got us now. A lot of people are going to say, oh, God, she got an easy one. This is an AI, artificial intelligence, and we all kind of have an idea of what those sound like. But there's a certain technique to doing it. So let's see what you can do as this artificial intelligence. AI, artificial intelligence, should sound like the classic female system's voice. Sort of like Hal from 2001, but a woman. And don't they all? Despite the, and somebody's going to change this. Somebody's going to come along and do an AI very differently, and then we'll be doing it like that for a while. But right now, let's see what you've got. Had a chance to look through it?
Yeah, click browse to it.
Okay, let's let me read the words for you. And the reason I'm doing this not just so you can, well, actually, I am doing so you can hear them, so you can take them in a little bit. Welcome to the Infinity Ship-Wide Waypoint Network. For information concerning, I'm sorry, we are currently having difficulties processing your request due to system error. Bay 1, exterior airlock clear. Bay 2, exterior airlock clear. Warning. Operation of Mantis Armored Defense System prohibited without prior approval. Access denied. The reserve accepts absolutely no personnel during Category 3 emergency states and higher. Intrusion alert. Intrusion alert. Security requested in forward weapon battery, Deck 2, Sector 15. Let's see what you got.
All right. Welcome to the Infinity Ship-Wide Waypoint Network. For information concerning, I'm sorry. We are currently having difficulty processing your request.
Ooh, I'm gonna stop you. For some reason, you're breaking up.
Some mic problems.
Yeah, we're having some mic problems there, and you're breaking up. I have a feeling it's overloading the mic, and maybe you're back away from the mic a little bit, and it might be a little bit of your internet connection. One more time.
Also, here's some echo.
Yeah.
It could be. My roommate is streaming right now, so I think the internet might be a little bit overwhelmed.
Can you stop her from streaming?
I can ask him.
Okay. Just tell him. Give me 5 minutes. Give you 5 minutes. And while you're getting him to do it, let me talk a little bit about what right now is the technique for AIs. It's very breathy. It's very calm. We generally do not show, when we're doing an AI, a lot of emotion. It takes a lot of breath to get that sound. Welcome to the Infinity Ship-Wide Waypoint Network. For information concerning, I'm sorry, we are currently having difficulties processing your request due to system error. Bay 1, exterior lock clear. Bay 2, exterior lock clear. Warning. Operation of Mantis Armored Defense System prohibited during prior approval. Without prior approval. Read the words. Takes a lot of breath, a lot of control, a lot of patience. Very often, because we're a little nervous and tense when we've got copy in front of us and we're reading it, we'll get to ends of sentences, ends of paragraphs, and try to speed up and get out of the connection with the character and into the connection of, what your little voice in the head is saying. Oh, God, I'm almost at the end. Hey, and I got that word I thought I was going to miss before. Oh, I'm going to speed it up, and I'm done. Whenever you got that little voice judging, you're out of the read. Okay, let's see what you got.
Hi, sorry, I'm back.
All right, let's see what you got.
All right. Welcome to the Infinity Ship-Wide Waypoint Network. For information concerning.
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a minute. I want you to slow this down. I want you to be very even in your tone, and I want it very breathy. Welcome to the Infinity Ship-Wide Waypoint Network. For information concerning.
Okay. Welcome to the Infinity Ship-Wide Waypoint Network. For information concerning. I'm sorry. We are currently having difficulties processing your request due to system error. Bay 1, exterior airlock clear. Bay 2, exterior airlock clear. Warning. Operation of Mantis Armored Defense System prohibited without prior approval. Access denied. The reserve accepts absolutely no personnel during Category 3 emergency states and higher. Intrusion alert. Intrusion alert. Security requested in forward weapon battery. Deck 2, Sector 15.
That was nice from where we started, and we could actually hear that one. I'm going to suggest a lot of times with these AIs, especially the female voice, when we make it nice and friendly all the time, it adds a more of a creepiness to it. It really sells the AI-ness and our or its lack of humanness, that it is always pleasant. Also, when you get to the Bay 1 exterior airlock clear, you have to say those exactly the same. One other suggestion at the bottom line where it says intrusion alert, because it's written in caps, that might be where she goes from being just friendly to a little bit more serious. And because you're using so much breath, I want you to find those places where you're pausing. Welcome to the Infinity Shipwide Waypoint Network. For information concerning, I'm sorry, we are currently having difficulties processing your request due to system error. So that you can keep that full breath underneath you. One more time.
Right. Welcome to the Infinity Shipwide Waypoint Network. Information concerning. I'm sorry. We are currently having difficulties processing your request due to system error. Bay 1, exterior airlock clear. Bay 2, exterior airlock clear.
Bay 1 and Bay 2 should sound exactly alike. Keep going, but I want you to make it sound a little friendlier and slow it down ever so slightly.
Okay. Warning. Operation of massive armored defense system prohibited without prior approval. Access denied. The reserve
Whoa. Keep that access denied nice and front. Access denied. The reserve accepts absolutely no personnel during Category 3 emergency states and higher.
Access denied. The reserve accepts absolutely no personnel during Category 3 emergency states and higher. Intrusion alert. Security requested in forward weapon battery. Deck 2, Sector 15.
Okay, now that's going to be the last read because we're running out of time. I want to get this last guy in here, but the suggestions I would make: slow it down a little bit. Make sure you maintain the same level of friendliness throughout until you get to that intrusion alert. And you might, if this were an audition, you were doing it twice, I might give them one and keeping that intrusion alert just as friendly as the rest of it. But nicely done, and we got better from where we started, where we couldn't hear you, to where we ended up. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nikki.
And so we got one more guy, right?
That we do. It's Neil, and Neil has two personas in here. I hope I choose the right one. Neil, you're unmuted, I think. Neil? Oh, Neil. I guess not. I'll try the other one.
There it is.
How about this one, Neil?
Can you hear me?
Yes, with that one, you're on twice. I don't know. I don't understand. Anyway.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, there's so much we don't understand. Hey, Neil, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Real good. And how old are you, man?
I'm 50.
50. Now, you notice I asked the guys with no problem. All right, another character I like. And you notice not all these are action characters. We're going for the acting here. Really quickly, this is from a game called Adrift. A medical officer, he's 34, but we're not going to worry about that. We're also not going to worry about the British accent. What we are going to worry about is the fact that he is educated, guarded, quiet, soft-spoken, careful speaker. Because we're not going English, don't worry about them. Michael Fassbender, Ralph Fiennes, Clive Owen. This is a guy who lost his career because he's a drug addict. And he's on a ship, and at the end of every day, they do a video diary. So he is in his quarters. He's been working all day. He does this every day. So that top line is something he says every day, and then he contemplates. I'm going to read it through one time. Medical Officer Liam Edwards, encrypted personal log, 14 July 2037. 1,432 days. Today has been a struggle. Every day is a struggle. But today the monster has its claws in me. This never-ending mission and the pressure of keeping up the big lie has left my spirits low. I want to disappear, escape. I want that warm, familiar feeling to wash over me. I want to drift away without a care in the world. Of course, the irony and the end result of floating away either at the hands of my addiction or by some chance this station itself is not lost on me. In fact, it's what keeps me clear and honest. That and this bloody token. 1,432 days.
Okay.
All right, I know I'm rushing you, but give me one.
Medical Officer Liam Edwards, encrypted personnel log, 14 July 2037.
I'm going to stop you for a minute. This is the end of the day. He's been working all day. It's quiet in his room. He does this every day, and it's the last thing he does before he goes to bed.
Okay.
He's this more reflective. Bring it down.
Medical Officer Liam Edwards, encrypted personnel log, 14 July 2037. 1,432 days. Today has been a struggle. Every day is a struggle. But today the monster has its claws in me. This never-ending mission and the pressure of keeping up the big lie has left my spirits low. I want to disappear. Escape. I want that warm, familiar feeling to wash over me. I want to drift away without a care in the world. Of course, the irony and the end result of floating away either at the hands of my addiction or some chance the station itself is not lost on me. In fact, it's what keeps me clear and honest. That and this bloody token. 1,432 days.
Okay, not bad. I would do even less in terms of volume. He really is talking to himself. He's talking about his pain. One of the challenges we have as voice actors, of course, reading the doggone words. But we really have to make them ours. We really have to let them come out as if we're just saying them. We're just thinking of these words. This guy has been in a lot of pain. I'm going to do one for you. Just give you, and part of the reason I'm doing this, give you permission to sigh, breathe, chuckle, pause, all those things we actually do as human beings that the writer didn't necessarily write it in, but it brings life to the words.
Mm-hmm.
Medical Officer Liam Edwards, encrypted personal log, 14 July 2037. 1,432 days. Today has been a struggle. Every day's a struggle. A monster has its claws in it. This never-ending mission and pressure of the big lie is my spirit's low. I want to disappear, escape. I want that warm, familiar feeling to wash over me. Drift. Of course, the irony, the end result of floating away, either at the addiction or by some chance the station itself, is not lost on me. In fact, it's what keeps me clear, honest. That is the token. 1,432 days. Doing a lot less with the words, a lot more with the feelings of this character.
Okay.
When we're working the words too hard, it's given up that we're not enough into the character. One more time.
Okay, see?
One more time.
Okay. Medical officer Liam Edwards. Encrypted personal log, 14 July 2037. 1432 days. Today has been a struggle. Every day is a struggle. But today the monster has its claws in me. This never-ending mission, the pressure of keeping up the big lie has left my spirits low. I want to disappear. Escape. I want that warm, familiar feeling to wash over me. I want to drift away without a care in the world. Of course, the irony in the end result of floating away either at the hands of my addiction or by some chance the station itself is not lost on me. In fact, it's what keeps me clear and honest. That and this bloody token. 1432 days.
That was so much better a read. And actually, it got better as you went along. When you first started, you were copying me.
Sorry.
No, it happens. I don't do reads for people for them to copy me, but to kind of give you permission to let the character be the character. But you took it as a jumping off point, and then you made it your own as you got into it. So nicely done. Nicely done.
Good job. Nice job, Neil.
And wow, that hour went by fast. Just a couple more minutes because Fred, I know you're chomping at the bit to get out of here.
No, I'm good.
No, some nice reads, and this is what we do in the workshop, along with or in the workshop and in the webinar. It's 4 weeks, 2.5 hours on consecutive Mondays. You get lots of scripts. You get my 92-page PDF, Voice Acting for Video Games. It doesn't just have acting tips. It also a lot about the industry as well. And we get to work. You get to take it a step further than we get to today. Fred, did you have anything? Oh, yeah. And only 8 participants, full participants that I'll be working with. But flies on the wall, you can listen, you can see and hear it all. And everybody gets all the materials, and all the materials will be available to you, the materials and the webinars themselves forever after when you take it, as a fly or as a full participant. Any more? Do we have any? Just a couple of questions, maybe somebody has.
Yeah. Let me see if we got any questions here at the end. Is the 92-page PDF available for purchase outside the class? No, but Sean, the fly on the wall price is extremely low and reasonable. Less than the PDF should actually be on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're flying the wall and you can't be there, you can always go back and check it out. And you will receive, as a fly on the wall, you will receive the PDF.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we got a video tonight. Your instruction was great, and I thought the reads were great as well.
Well, we do have a video because I remembered to push the record button, and we will also have a video. Hey, FaceTime! And I'm starting to get the chance to talk to a lot of my FaceTime buddies this time. But I'm going to post this up on Facebook as well after this. And we will have it posted at Dave Fennoy voiceover training.com. VO for Games class. Yes, and if you'd like to sign up for the class, Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. Thank you, because I'm a horrible salesman. I'm a horrible salesman.
No. We don't need to sell this. This is what you do.
Exactly.
No, I'm just saying that. I thought the class was really good tonight. And again, good job by everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We have one more.
You know, and I
free.
appreciate people that are willing to come on in front of everybody and lay their souls bare and just give it their best shot. Takes courage.
Yes, we have one more free one before the class, so we hope to see you all January. I think
January 9th. And if you signed up for this one, you're good to go for the next one.
Excellent. Thanks, Dave.
All right, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.